This is the second week the workshop, and I'm gonna give you a specific methodology from this week and next week. This week I call it a micro study because it's going in delve into the smaller pieces, and then next week is making connections in the bigger piece. So next week is the one, but next week the workshop you are more likely familiar with it because pretty much all the education is in that direction. Okay. Now, I call it the building concepts because this step is required because starting with this building concepts is not like a connecting concepts. A little bit there is a differences. And it's going to be most difficult part for you when you are actually trying it. And the reason that you do this is to make a differences from your study and in the future. For example, let's say there's a cell phone. And then if you are describing it something that is already in the manual or description specs, then you're not going to make a differences because you're going to say the same thing over and over. Only the way that you need to make a difference is by looking at it and describing it as is. Where's the button? Why did I put the buttons in here? And where's the camera? Why did I put the cameras in there? So after you describing in the details, then once you started questioning why did they put it in here, then what you can do is you can go into the designer's brain, where how they design it and why they design it in that way. Yeah. So something like that. This will give you some of the power to think different from the sources. Okay. This is the first step that I always saying it. You know, human life form, not just human, is born to move, actively move. So if you don't move, then it's like that. So you're supposed to move every single moment. The brain is the same way. You're supposed to use your brain every single moment so that your brain can get active. As your brain active, then your body will be active. Because once you're curious about something, wanting to know about something, then you automatically engage in it. So from last week, you remember that the differences of two different cover letters, right? So that one is actively engaging by the person's self, but the other one is like a passive. If you are passive, then you are not going to be able to make a differences. You will just having difficulties in catching up, whatever that was given. Now, always, from this workshop, I'm not going to end with questions. I'm not going to deal much of it. But always think about this. When you understood something, and then when you stop there, then your brain stops there. To make your brain to actively working and engaging it, you always start with questions and end with questions. When you have questions written up, then your brain will function again. If you don't have questions, your brain is not going to function. So, and when you open up the questions, this is open-end question with the questions is once you open up the questions, then you'll have leave it open so that later on when you have chances, the answers could be coming in. Okay? So remember this. Now, part one. I have two different parts for the micro study. And I'm going to give you one example with very simple, which is water. And the other one is we can try to see that if you can adapt it to your study with money as an example. But for now, it has two different parts. First part is you always have to start with your brain. Your brain stores more information than you think. A lot more information already stored in there because you are living organism. You have been living through life. You've been seeing a lot of things. Your experience is there. So you have to be able to start with your brain first. And first step is questions to make yourself to observe something. I'll give you more specific examples. Observation and describe what you observe and summarize the description. For example, once again, when you have this, if you are not able to describe it, let's say you are later on your job is to make this as a promotion. How would you explain to others that actually to buy this stuff. If you are not able to describe it, then that's the end of it. You will lose in the competition market. So now, first thing, how to deal with the topic, how to choose the topic. In the university level, all the topics that you are going to see is theories. Means that it's built over many different concepts. Those concepts are connected already and give you one concept. Okay? But in this study, to make a difference, if you deal with everything concept already built, then when you find all the information lined up, then what can you make differences? Nothing. You just use those knowledges, then others can do. Everybody can do the same. So theory built in with several sub-concepts, and you need to find the concept and then break it down. That's what it calls micro-study. Okay? So to deal with it, try to start with a very simple topic and break a compound words. I'm going to show you one example. And if the topic is containing more than one concept, like theories, you have to break them down. Find the keywords, and you have to explore each concept and then combine them. So let's take a look at this. Rain. Looks like a very simple, right? It's not, actually. Rain is the function of water evaporating with the heat, so there should be heat, and clouds made, and it has to travel by the wind, and it meets somewhere in the cold air, and making get together and drop. So that rain contains a lot of concepts, just like a price. Price itself contains a lot. It has some sort of like a hidden meanings behind it. Water. This is one of the simplest part that you can start with, just like money, which I'm going to give you an example at the end. Okay. Now compound word. Hydropower. This is two different concepts. Hydro, power. Unless you understand each concept, you are not going to be able to make differences. Okay? So you have to be able to describe hydro, what is power. Then you can use it. Biotechnology, microeconomics, everything is two different words, the compound words. What you need to do, break them down and separate them. Explore, separate, and later on you can merge them. Okay? Now, two different concepts connected together, like a stock market or heart attack, also the same. You need to separate them, explore separately, and merge them later. Okay, so now first step is choosing the topic, so it's gone. Now, second step, make questions. Now, the first step is, the first question has to be always asking questions about the definition. For example, if the topic is water, what is water? Okay. Questions using 5 senses with 5 WH questions. That's the first step. Okay. And this is when you think about this, if you don't have questions, do you think you're going to look for the answers? No. Right? So this is the ignition point. You are igniting this your brain to start to think. Okay, so this is the spark. You need to actually always start with the questions. Now, the reason that you're asking these questions, there are two different folds, which I'm going to show you in the middle. And there, the reason is to focus on the topic, so that unless that you have these questions later on, you don't have a place to come back, then your logic will jump over and here and there. Okay, so this is the one you coming back all the time once you explore sub concepts, and then to connect them together. So you always have to ask this question first. So when you are studying in any class, any topic, first thing is ask questions. The theory, ask questions about what is specific theory. Now, make questions with 5 senses and WH questions. This is one of the most important part, and this will be the first challenge for you. Because The questions like what do I taste when I drink water? This is a sense. But when you are using money, I'm going to show you at the end. If you are using money, something like that, something like a human use, like a water bottles like this, then what happens is your brain automatically goes to the function. Where to use it, what to do with it. Why do I have water? The water bottle, something like that. If that happens, as I said, you're gonna be just focusing on the functions, meaning that you're not gonna make differences out of it, because already when water bottle is made, there's a person who designed it to be water bottle like this. Okay, so to make a difference, you completely rely on only the 5 senses that you are seeing, and you are hearing, you are tasting it. Something like questions like this. Okay, once you generate questions as much as possible with this step, next is simple. You re-evaluate your questions. Okay, to make sure that it's based on the 5 senses, not goals or purpose or anything. And if you're using the WH questions in there, and remove that if there's a goals and usage or purpose is in intention is in there. Okay, so you have to revise it. Okay, goals you can deal with later because you already have done these skills. You already have these skills, and all the schools are teaching it based on it. So it's easier to make a difference. Is you have to have these 2 skills. Now, next step, if the topic is water, you actually take a cup of water, put it in there, and then look at it. If your research project is something like researching in a market, how many people are buying stuff, you actually have to go there and monitor them. Okay, that's the next step. Once you have these questions, you have to observe what it is by taking a look at it, going to the place. Now, next step, you state what you are looking at, what you are tasting it. Okay, detailed as possible. So I don't taste the water, I don't smell, I don't see color, and I see through, something like that. And once you make these individual, and here's one thing I forgot. Always put I first. Start with the I. The reason is because you need to make yourself as an active to make your brain to work. This is your brain. So put I always in there so that you can build self-confidences and you can start with your own brain power. Once you state like this, next step, combine them. Simply combine them and make one full sentence. At this time, now this is the time you remove I. Okay? When you remove I and combine them all together, then water is tasteless, odorless, colorless, and transparent material that has no specific shapes or something like that. It comes in like that. This has to be from your own brain. Okay? This is the key. From your own brain, from your own observation. That's the first step. So once you remove I, then this statement is objectified. So you don't put your personal intention in it because this is simple observation. Okay? Because you didn't put the goals in there, so that everything is just objectified. It's a third party, not you. No. And you have to have it. Sometimes you will feel like, if my statement is correct, is it acceptable? Don't worry about it. If you are worrying about it, then you automatically goes the other way around, just following others, then trying to look for knowledge. The first thing you have to build is confidence. Okay? So make yourself to observe, self-motivated, using I, and make yourself to describe it and to rely on it because it is you who made it and your observation. If you don't trust what you are seeing, what you are tasting, then that means that you don't have your self-confidence. Okay? Next, you need to start expanding it. you need to find the keywords inside of your statement. For example, taste, odor, smell, color, transparency, shapes. And you ask yourself by asking these definition, asking questions with definition. And let's say taste. Yes, I understand. Taste is the interpretation of the signal from the tongue in the brain when the food is inside in my mouth. Now you can describe it. That means that you understood this concept before. You have thought about this concept. Then you leave it here for now. And let's say you ask questions, what is color? And you cannot describe it. That means you've been using the color, the concept a lot, but still you just know it. You don't know how to describe it. This is just like a signals that the monkeys are using. They call eagle, auk. They could do it. They understand. But they cannot describe what is the eagle exactly. They only understand the consequences. Same thing. If you cannot describe what is color by yourself, that means that you're like barking like dogs. No meaning at all. You're just using it. Okay? So now, if that happens, what you have to do, you need to go repeat the same steps using the color. Make questions first, asking about definition, and next go make questions using 5 senses and WH questions. And what do I see? And when do I see? When I don't see color, or something like that. Color is heavily relying on the eyesight. So the mostly among 5 senses, the sight is one of the major part of the color. Now, what you do? You describe as much as possible. I see red, yellow, black, or white, or something like that. And I see color when light is on. I don't see color when light is off. If you expand this concept, you probably end up just like Einstein, because the light and interaction with the object is how the speed of the light and what happens to the light, and when light is passing, if you travel faster than the speed of the light, then you're gonna see that the past of the what have left. It's just like a sun. What we are seeing is not current position. We are seeing the past of it, because that takes some of the time. But not that moment. For now, you should be able to describe it by yourself. And you should be able to observe about the topic. That's the key point. Now, with the description you made, what you need to do, you need to summarize again, just repeating it. Okay? Color is something, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Try to make just a sentence as flow as possible. This is one of the skills that you need for your writing. When you're describing it, if someone else, they look at it and then they couldn't understand it, then your description doesn't make sense, then they're not going to buy your story at all. And when you're describing it, think about it in this way. Your brain, when you say something, it's work of your brain. It's not your mouth. When you are writing something, it's a work of your brain. If your brain isn't able to really describe something detailed, meaning your brain is not really fully developed in that specific concept. Okay? So that's the one of the point. This one, you will see, you need some of the intermediate kind of steps to make it, comparing it and then combine them together depending on the topic. Yeah?
There could be something which we would be able to say and we would not be able to write. Is it?
If you don't see it, but if you are able to write it, you can add that on. But mostly that part will driving to the goals and purpose and those part. So in the beginning, try to stick with what you are seeing, what you are sensing. Okay. Next step. Repeat the keyword step. Light, interaction, yellow. Again, you expand your concept. But at this point, when you do it, then you started drifting off from the topic, main topic. Okay, so do it in a separate time. Okay, separate as a separate topic, but try to stick with one of them. Now, once you explore some of these concepts, next step is merging them. Okay. Now, the first, you describe the water with your own brain, the observation with, that has stored in your own brain, right? Now, what you have is another set of the description about the light. I mean, not the light. This time it is color. Combine them together. For now, water tasteless, odorless, colorless is separated. If you try to utilize this concept, you're not gonna be really go further. Now, as you add this in, and for example, like a color is something that is visible when light and object interact together, and there are yellow, red, green. You have this, and you have a taste from the before. Merge them all into one. This will be another challenge for you because this is making sentence by connecting it. Okay, so if it is the class that I'm teaching, probably I'm giving you some systematic the training to how to merge it, everything. But for now, I have to leave it for you to do it, and then on your own. Okay, but try to make a statement as make the logical as possible. For example, when water is in the mouth, it doesn't signal brain to recognize as taste. It was in there, just a little bit differently expressed. And colorless meaning indicates that it doesn't interact with the visible light, thus it is transparent, and it has no specific shapes. Now you replace with this. Now imagine if you have like other concepts built in and add that on. What do you think will happen? It's growing and bigger, right? Now you are making pools of the reservoir that you can utilize depending on your topic where you go. For example, your topic is like developing some of the drinks that has some taste that is different from others. Then you can utilize the taste part and then for your writing. And if it is something like a coloring, then you can utilize this part. If both, you can just put everything in there. Okay. So you are increasing the reservoir to use when you are either presenting it or writing it or expressing yourself or discussing with some others. Now, once this is done, next part is expand knowledge by literature search. There's one condition. You have to, the topic you are studying, you have to start from your own brain and make up to the part at least you can describe about the topic. Then you move on to the next level, literature search, because the knowledge is limited. That you are not researchers, and if you are studying, for example, marketing, probably you are not familiar with something like management or something like that. So there are different specialty in each field. So you are not going to have all the knowledge built inside of your brain. So now you have to do the literature search, which is digesting the information and now building the concept further. Now, for example, the water. You look at the Wikipedia and then read through. You don't have to read through everything, okay? You just read through. And what you need to do, this is one of the key points. You need to compare your description and the one that the literature that shows you, okay? This is a key point. Without this, let's say you read this and then trying to write about the water, you'll probably end up just writing the same thing. You have to have this, compare with this, then find the differences. Next step, separate the concepts that you didn't use, but it is in the literature. For example, fluid, chemical, formula, H2O, molecule, oxygen, hydrogen, atoms. Now, here one tip is, don't try to go macro. Lake or ocean, life forms, that was there about the water. These are the ones that what I'm going to deal with next week. I'm going to show you how to deal with it. Okay? So for now, to focus on, to increase your reservoir for your knowledge so that you can utilize it, what you need to do is just ignore this part for now and focus on smaller things, because this is one thing. You are making your brain to learn how to find this information that researchers are providing and specialty people were providing. You need to learn how to digging into the information first. Later on, making connection with the lake, oceans, these are relatively easier. Well, it's still, there is the difficulties, but relatively easier. So try to increase reservoir with your brain. Okay. Now, once this is done, once again, repeating the steps. What is fluid? What is chemical? What is molecule? What is oxygen? And you started digging into it, okay, with these questions. For example, let's say, what is fluid? And you have some idea. You looked at the water, and you kind of describe by yourself, saying, okay, fluid is a kind of material that doesn't have shape, and it moves when there's an external force is given. Something like that. Now you made this description out of it. Then, even though you think this is not fully, will this be acceptable by others? Don't worry about it, just leave it there. Now let's say oxygen, and you have no idea because you're not a chemist, you're not a physicist, you're not the scientist. Now you're repeating step one again. You go in and you digging into the information again. And let's say you went into the Wikipedia saying oxygen is a chemical element and blah blah blah. Now you have no idea what is a chemical element again. So you go in and then looking into it. And it says chemical element is a species of atom and blah blah blah. And once again, you don't know what the atom is. I have no idea. And going in and asking again and then look for it again. Atom is the smallest constitution of ordinary matter. That's also from Wikipedia. I use Wikipedia because they are free material and copyright violation is not there. That's why I'm using only Wiki, okay? To avoid any copyright issues. Now, next step, what you do? You reverse the step. You describe what is the atom, replace the atom here. You describe chemical elements with these new concepts in there and merge them with this and merge them with again. And now oxygen is an atom that is the smallest constitution of ordinary matter, that which is also referred as chemical element, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Then now you merge them all together, these concepts. Then you are not using just simply chemical elements. You have a description in there. Then now you have freedom to change it at this point. Imagine if you could do with all the concepts. This reservoir will grow bigger and bigger. Basically, you can use the entire textbook as a reference. Okay? That's the skill you need. Okay? Next week, when I talk about I'm gonna have two different examples with water and the money together, and then show you that what is the differences in there. Then you will see how this description power will come back again in that apply that steps, and then make differences. Okay. Now, what you do? Merge them again. Originally, you found out some of the information about the water. This is from your brain. Now you did, this is from your brain also, but that one is from the literature. What you do? Merge them all together. Make a big statement. Like this. I'm not going to read all of them, but I gave you the copy of the slides so you can read about it. So when you do it, this is one of the challenges again. if you have difficulties of merging on your own concepts that descriptions about the concepts that you made and then trying to merge it, it is difficult. This will be harder because it combines with some of the concepts that you didn't know before, and then you barely understood some of the concepts. Because of that, merging into this and having into one big concept will be challenging. But my suggestion is, if you don't try, you're not going to be learning at all. Like a tennis, learning how to play tennis, just like that. If you don't grab the racket and go try it, you're not going to be improving yourself with the tennis skills. Brain is the same way. You have to try it. Okay? Now, what this does, basically, with these questions, you're going to increase your curiosity, so that make your brain to actively work. And questioning, methods of the questioning. Which questions will give you the direction that you can increase your reservoir and find the logical connections, and which one blocks you and box you inside of the small concept. Okay? And observation skills, description skills, and especially building concepts is one of the key. Now, let's try with money. I didn't prepare slides with this because I want you to really follow and see if you could do with these methods that I got you. Okay? So first step, money. What do you think you need to do? Questions. What is money? Right? And next, what is the use of money? That's where your brain automatically goes, right? When it comes to the money, 5 cents with double educations, what do you think you need to do?
What does it taste like?
What does it taste like? Okay, if you can taste it. Yeah. How it look like? What color do I see? What shape do I see? What?
Where can I use it?
Where can I use it? That's the purpose of the money.
Why?
You need to remove it.
How does it feel like?
How does it feel like in the texture-wise? So, yeah, when you are describing it, what do you think you will end up? You will see all the details about the money. Numbering system, why did they put the numbers? Once you figure it out, you see that the series of the numbers they put it in, and the graphics they put it in. I don't know, you have observed it or not. There's a thin lines, very tiny lines, details out there to prevent someone reproducing it. Okay. Now, you can think about, with the description simply to given, you can go into the brain where the people who designed it. Okay. So this is one of the things. This is the first step. You need to, by yourself, you need to build the skill to understand where it comes from. Water, it was easy, right? Relatively easy to just observe it and describing it. But something, it comes in like something like this, human-made. The one that your topics that you're going to learn in the school is the one. As you saw, your brain automatically goes to their purpose or goals or usage of it. If that happens, then even though you find out, let's say you find it out that this one has this function, this function, this function, this function, everything, you are not going to be the people who developed it. First thing, you need to describe what you see, what you're feeling with your own brain, observation. Okay? This is the first step. This is why the science part, nature part is there, because the nature part is more likely you can observe as a third person, not involving into some sort of like the usage or some goals. Okay? But with something like topics you're going to deal with, you're going to fall into this very, very simple and easy. This is why you need to separate your questions and see if you're going direction to following the goals, or you are asking questions to observe it. Okay. If you, let's say you wanted to see that how this one is sold in the market, when you go out there and to observe it, then you can mark how many, one by one, who buys it, what ages, what time, which location. You can observe them as is. But if you have like this one, like this is a water bottle, and then I want to see that the who buys where people are using it, then your brain is automatically goes to the water, and you cannot make a difference as much. Okay, this is the beginning of it. Unless you built this basic step. Next week I'm gonna deal with. I'm gonna show you how to deal with this the big concepts, how to make a connections of these concepts. Your brain constantly goes to the goals and the usage. Then you are not gonna make big differences. For example, let's say you are focusing on money, and then saying that you are studying how the money is the flowing, making a concept. Then your brain automatically goes, does it make a profit or not? Then you're done. You cannot really get out of it'll be very, very difficult for you to get out of that concept. You need to start observing how the money flows as a third person instead of just focusing on some of the profitable or not. Then you can make total difference from that step. Okay, so try this method for you to do, and try to adopt it in your study. Then your study will make a big difference. Okay. Okay. Now I'll take questions. Whatever you do, the study topic, just as is, take it and then observe it, and deeper and deeper and deeper. Because the theories that you're learning here is right here, and there are many levels of the theories built together. Unless you understand the individual theories in there, the only thing you could do, even though you understand the theory, what really it means, when you're trying to use it, the level of the usage is of the knowledge that you have. Then, unless you increase your reservoir, you're not going to be able to really make differences.
My other concern is like we have multiple assignments.
You think that it'll take a lot of time, right? But if you study, think about elements. Oxygen, hydrogen, these are all elements. Once you understand one concept, you can apply to any other thing. Okay? So this is the thing. When you are studying in the theories, once you learn how to digging into it in a deep inside, less of them is easier. And it'll get easier and easier. And then now one of the points you'll accelerate. And then that's once you started accelerating it, no one's going to be able to really catch up. Okay? Because
It will take some time.
it'll take some time in the beginning. But if you go step by step, then sometime later you will hit acceleration point. But think about if you constantly just go on in the way that you study, you're gonna keep going on and on and on, stay in the same. Right. Okay. And think about when you're working. If you follow orders and do what you are supposed to, your brain doesn't work. You just work. Your body works. That's why you feel tired after the day. If you think about you have questions about your topic that you are learning, then you wanted to know about it, curious about it, then the time you're studying is not time that you actually having difficulties. Yeah, compare this time. The activities that you enjoy, like for example, you.
I was not able to get the answer, but the second time when I started it, I took a rest and then I started again.
Yeah.
I was able to get answers. So it was done and I felt very happy.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah. So compare this. If you are playing sports, right? People play sports and then after that they have sore muscles and they have they exhausted, but they say, "Wow, I had a great time." And you are probably using less muscle power when you are studying or in the work. And if you are working later on, you spend day with doing the less muscle work, but after the work, you just tired and then lying down.
Yeah.
Why? One part, you are, you just excited and still active. And even the muscle ache is there, but still you feeling really cheerful. After the work, you're tired. The reason is this part that you chose to do. You are actively engaging it. Work, you are not. Study, you are not. That's the only difference. So making your brain to be interested in there with this, these are the beginning steps. Then once you develop the skills, then study will be fun. And you will keep studying. Okay? And that's the beginning. Yeah. It's, even though it is slow in the beginning, if once you picked up the skills, then you will learn, you will see that how it is accelerating and really fast. And in this entire world, you think that there are many things to learn, right? Yeah. Not really.
So many things.
Everything is based on the same. The human is moving to get money to survive. If you could dig into it and then understand that part, everything will come in very simple and easy. It's only matter that how you tweak it and adapt it. Okay, I'll show you that how to bring this this study level up and then apply for the real the cases that you are seeing, and then probably next week you will see that where the management is starting and how the business is starting point, what you need for that as well with these simple skills.